This is the year of wake up and smell the competition. Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Ain't no stopping me now.
I'm gonna make sure he go right out the ring, and I might get on the top of the bucket or the rope and come down with a flying elbow kick.
I'm going to cook him and see how he feels like it. I'm going to see if he's going to get up off the floor. I don't think he's got the bottled minerals, bollocks, whatever you want to call it. He ain't got it. He's an on-top fighter. He's a bully fighter. And when a bully gets bullied, he folds every single time.
What is that song? I believe the Beatles had it. Is all you need is one. Deontay Wilder just needs one shot, and it's game over.
Thank you very much for being a dosser. Thank you.
Fury scores the knockdown in round number 3. 30 seconds remain, and Fury has floored Wilder. He said he would knock him out. He's going for it here in the 3rd round. Wilder is down again. And what was he doing with his tongue right there? Inside. He said in the lead-up, I want to taste blood. I believe that's what he was just doing there at the end of 6, tasting Wilder's blood. That was outrageous.
Second is laughing because he got beat up so bad.
Yes. What is up? MCR family? Another semi-daily edition of the show, live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff. It's going to be a morning / afternoon / evening, wherever you are in the world, Q&A. So if you're in the live chat right now, drop a question or topic, and we will get to it. And plus, we do have some boxing topics, MMA topics, some just overall combat sports topics, plus Tiger King Season 2 happening. Yes, we might get into that as well. A lot to get into on today's show, surprisingly, on a dead, coronavirus period for the sport. But like I said, hit the like button, all that good stuff. And let's get over to our co-host, Gary Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
I'm good. A little better. I got out a little bit yesterday and the day before, so I'm not as delirious. But I don't understand how they're doing a Tiger King Season 2. Spoiler alert, the guy's in jail. So unless Trump pardons him, which I don't know, maybe he will. I don't know how we're having a Tiger King Season 2.
Dude, Doc Antle, come on.
Okay.
Go back down to Miami for the Cuban guy, that Scarface in Montana, that
I guess
allegedly chopped up a person and burned him alive or whatever. Come on. Carol Baskin. Did she?
Carol Baskin. We could just follow Carol Baskin around.
I'm good with that.
But I think if you do, you'll find either the remains of the husband, or you'll find out where he is. Right? Let's do that. Let's follow. Tiger Queen Season 2.
Oh yeah.
Carol Baskin.
Did you see that Joe Exotic has coronavirus in prison?
We put that in the chat. I thought it was a joke, but I guess it's real. Real. Why? It's not. It shouldn't be shocking. I mean,
you know what? I really, I would say that anyone that has watched that show, go and check out I know it's gonna sound weird, the David Spade interview with the reality show guy with the cowboy hat, because that shit got really dark about all the footage that got deleted or burned, right? And what that footage was. They were shooting cats all the time, man. It's nasty. Season 2 could get dark. I'm just saying. And also, Rob reminding us in the chat. Shout out to Rob, Santiago, and Heath in the chat, saying OJ knows who did it. That's true. OJ Simpson did come out and say that Carol Baskin probably murdered her husband, and he does seem like an expert here, right?
Again, I don't know that OJ actually used the murder weapon. I think he paid someone to do it and was there and wanted to watch it because he's a sick human being, and then drove the guy home, which is why the blood got all over the place. I don't think OJ, if you were a multi-millionaire like that, would you really dirty your hands like that and do it yourself? I mean, maybe if you're that sick, but it just seems like I'll just pay someone to do it.
Yeah, you could pay for someone $3,000 to do it, right?
Apparently, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why? I mean, Again, I think OJ was obviously involved, and there's a guy in prison who says that he was paid to do it. Now he's probably lying, who knows? But it was a hitman. He was a murder for hire guy. He said OJ paid me $50,000. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna take
50 grand sounds like a
again. This is 25 years ago,
but still, that sounds like not enough. Just saying. That's
can-
OJ Simpson. The juice.
Yeah.
I mean, he was one of the biggest
Yeah, he was
celebrities.
Huge celebrity. He was in movies, Airplane, fantastic movie. No, he was in Major League.
Major League.
No. What am I saying? He was in yeah, he was in Major League, wasn't he?
No, he was not Major League.
What the hell movie was he in? That I'm thinking of. That was
He wasn't an Airplane because that's Kareem.
That's Kareem.
Major
Oh,
League.
Naked Gun.
See, I'm not a fan of Naked Gun.
Really?
It's not my favorite of all those spoof parody movies. Like, to be honest, obviously Monty Python's like the godfather of that.
Yeah.
And, like, all of Mel Brooks shit goes in there. And then you get like Airplane, Naked Gun for me, to be quite honest.
Okay.
What's the other one? Hot Shots, right?
Yeah.
Those aren't my cup of tea compared to Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights,
Baseballs is fantastic.
Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and again, all of Monty Python, Life of Brian, Holy Grail, all of those stuff.
Although Dumb and Dumber and Step Brothers are the two funniest movies ever.
Step Brothers might be one of the funniest movies of the 2000s. I might give it that distinction.
If you just count the amount of laughs that you had, they had the most laughs. Therefore, they're the funniest movies.
I remember being like an adolescent, right? Because I forget what year did that movie come out? Like 2012?
It's got to be it. Step Brothers? I'm going to say earlier than that. I mean, you might be right. I was going to say 2009 or 10, but maybe it was 2012.
It could be 2009, 10. It could be like that. That was pure me watching those types of movies. And that was also like the last phase of those types of movies too. Like the Hangover comedy movies. Those aren't really around nowadays, I would say.
That's accurate.
Any other comedy takes, Garrett? Do you want to talk about boxing?
Let's talk about boxing. I mean, why not?
Rob is saying Naked Gun is better than Dumb and Dumber. That's probably factual. But I would say they're both pretty bad comedies. Just want to put that out there. Bruce saying Dumb and Dumber is a classic.
Thank you.
Someone of good taste here. Tony Yaya. Oh, what happened to Gary?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, you just dropped out there and came back. It was weird.
You dropped out on my end. That was weird.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We're being pirated or tapped by someone.
Been attacked. Name redacted's coming after us.
I blame the federal government because I blame the federal government for everything. I think we're being monitored by that warehouse thing in the middle of Utah, which no one knows about, that monitors everything you do.
It's like on YouTube, we both cut out. So we're back. It's
okay.
Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah. I'm trying out, by the way, because YouTube is it's a total new format now. And I've been totally resistant to trying it and been going to the old one. I'm finally using the new format and user interface. I hate it. I low-key hate it. It bothers me. But I digress from that. Unless you have anything else to say.
Is it one of those things that you hate, but you'll just get used to it and then it'll be fine?
Absolutely. Of course.
Because I hate changing things too. It just get used to it.
There's one thing I have a legitimate gripe when it comes to this new user interface. When I create a live show, when I'm done creating it, there's no tags for it. There's no place to put tags. So I have to then afterwards go back into my video manager tab and then go into the full editing user interface of the video and then put tags in it. And that's in the ass.
That's annoying. They'll fix that, I'd imagine.
I hope so. But they probably will, because they had that just for the pure upload video for the longest time for the new user interface, where you couldn't add tags to the video until after the video is uploaded, which is stupid. But now they fixed that. So hopefully they fix this as well, because that does bother me. It does add a step to the process. Tony Gayo in the chat, longtime listener, saying, has DAZN approached you, Hipster, about acquiring the podcast? No, they haven't. They need shoulder programming content right now. No, they have not approached me.
It's not for sale, by the way.
Hold on. Hold on, Gary. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves there. No, we have not been approached, and I don't think we will be, most likely because of our rhetoric most of the time. Like if you notice who get picks up by networks, it does kind of make sense who gets picked up. I don't think me and Gary and Foo equal that. Maybe Rob. So that's maybe our way in. Rob's a polite one, right? Rob deals with the politics of the sport. I don't. I always get in arguments. Like I got an argument with Lou DiBella yesterday. It is what it is.
That must have been fun. Let's Lou's a character.
Lou is like I really genuinely respect Lou. Like me, like I don't like promoters on like as a general like perspective, but Lou is one of the few I do respect to a degree. But we do get arguments from time to time. And we got
like Lou will scream at you for a half hour and tell you how stupid you are, but then like it's all love.
He's New York East Coast through and through. We got an argument over the WBC and Mauricio Sulaiman's reasoning for women's boxing being a shorter amount of time than men's. And Lou backed up Mauricio Sulaiman, saying that medically speaking, women have a 1 to 3% more chance of getting a concussion than men in athletic competition, while men have a 1 to 3% more chance of getting a concussion during practicing. And therefore, because of that, women have a short amount of time for fights.
A 1 to 3% chance has got to be that margin of error. Like every study has a margin of error, right? That you'll vary from one study to the next. 1 to 3% has got to be in that margin of error. It's got to be like that. It's not like they said 40% more. They said 1 to 3.
Yeah, I think it was 9% of the study was about 15,000 college athletes over I think basketball and soccer and then NCAA. And this is the study I looked at. I'll look at more later down the line. But it was one that was cited over and over again. So I thought I'll just read this one. It was 9% of women's athletes in competition, so actual games, received concussions, and around 6% or 6 point something and 9 point something. But it was 9 and 6%. 6% of men received concussions during games. And then it was, I want to say 3% of women get concussions during practice. And it was like 5 point something for men to get concussions during practice. So it was just like one of those things where I looked at it and was like, this seems pretty marginal.
There's no real difference. There's no discernible difference.
Especially if you look at a respective sport to boxing in MMA, that's comparable enough. I know you made the argument the other show, Gary, that we can't compare the sports, but I think in women's combat sports, we can definitely compare them. It's the same amount of time. As men, women get the same amount of time for championship fights, for regular fights. It's the same amount of time. There's no difference in that sort of regulation. And then Lou in the argument tried to switch it to like all fights should be shorter. And I kind of agree with him with that. I think all fights should be shorter to a degree. If we shrunk, all normal fights to 8 rounds and championship fights down to 10 rounds, would that be such a bad thing? I don't know. Maybe it would help fighters out in terms of longevity. But digressing, it was just one of those arguments where me and Lou were just, I think, talking past each other, which happens. Gotta love Lou. Rob, so shouldn't men do 1 minute rounds? I did make that argument. That because men have more concussions in practice, shouldn't men train less than women? That was my argument. Should men train less sparring rounds?
Well, just, it's got to be easier for men to get sparring than
women,
just because there's so many more men in the gym.
But then women spar men all the time, so like that's.
If you want to see women sparring, Boxers and Brawlers Gym in San Antonio, which is where Josh Franco and Bam Rodriguez and Tanahara train before they go to Riverside. Yeah. There's 3 women there, 2 pros and 1 amateur. And the amateur is like the top 3. They have women gym wars there. Like, if anyone in the San Antonio area, go to Boxers and Brawlers Gym, ask for Marco, and let him know, ask him when the women are going to be sparring. There's 3 of them. Paola Torres, Brittany Ordonez, and the women, the amateur's name, who's like ranked number 2 in the world as an amateur's last name is like Houlihan or something like that. Yo, they go to war. It's the best sport. And they do 2-minute rounds because they have enough women who are all the same size to do 2-minute rounds, but it's all out.
I remember when I was training at, I forget the name, Gold's Gym, right, in LA at Santiago's going to know about this. Fern's going to know about this. There was a girl that trains there, and she is fast. I remember watching her spar. I think it was Fern, and she lit Fern up. Like, I'm not going to say bad, but like she was good. Like she, like just in terms of combinations, putting it together, like her just overall like fundamental form in her punching combination was just really top notch. And obviously, I've sparred top notch amateur women. I forget her name in the East Coast, and she busted my nose up. I mean, women can fucking get down.
That's what it's not like basketball where you're just physically strong and then you get dominant on the inside. Like it's a skill sport. Like in college, we tried to hit the women's and the Hofstra's women's softball team is like top 10.
Or not even that good. Just on like basketball for men, you need to be a certain height.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You're 6
and
foot
on average, men are more likely to be that height than women.
Right, they're 6 inches taller on average. Yeah.
But in boxing and combat sports, most of the best weight classes are 130 pounds,
right?
5 pounds, 147 pounds, 127, 126. Like you can get very small weight classes that women fit in perfectly with.
But I was trying to say, we were trying to hit the women pitchers in fast pitch softball. There's no chance. It's just totally right. I mean, you just got to swing. Like, in baseball, you can pick it up out of their hands. Pick up the spin of the ball. In women's softball, you just got to decide whether this is a ball or strike and swing at it. It is like it's so much harder to hit a ball in women's softball, even though the ball's bigger, because it's coming from much closer, and your reaction time is so much shorter, right? So it's like you're not just like, if you're a baseball player, you're just not going to go hit women's softball. It's totally different.
Rob is remembering the name. Shadasha Green fucked you up, Matt? Yeah, she did. Apologies on her forename. If he doesn't remember, I think you might be right on that name, Rob. I don't know. I can't remember, to be quite honest. That was a long time ago. But man, and I remember she was the main sparring partner to Clarissa Shields. She was good. She had a great check hook, man. And I remember I ducked. She got me with that check hook, busted my nose up, bleeding all over the place. Fucking hilarious. Gary, before we get into box topics, let me remind the chat, any topics or questions you guys want us to talk about, put them in the chat. And if you want, just for my sake, because I'm blind, don't feel bad about putting in all caps so I can see it better and see it more out from everyone else talking. But Gary, let's talk about some boxing here, as Anthony Joshua versus Kubrat Pulev is officially postponed, as it's been announced today. I'm not too surprised by this, Gary, but obviously we've been talking about this being postponed for a while now. Thoughts on Joshua Pulev officially postponed?
Can't they just do this in an empty gym with one cameraman and let us watch it? I mean, no one is interested in this fight. There's no reason to cancel this fight. Just let it go on. I mean, did anyone mark this on their calendar? And look, I think Pulev is a fine fighter. I think he's a top 10 heavyweight for sure. I think Pulev is good. But this has the makings to make Joshua versus Parker look like a barn burner, right? Like, just put it in a gym with one cameraman, and those who want to watch it can. And let's just get this over with. Or just cancel the fight altogether and have him fight Usyk.
I don't disagree with you from a perspective of we don't really need this fight. Let's just move past as quick as possible. But I mean, this, Gary, for the listeners, the money they would lose out from just the gate revenue alone, they can't do that. This is a stadium fight. This is one where you sell 90,000 seats. You can't postpone. You can't cancel this and just put it in a empty studio and think that's enough. No, you know that, Gary. It's not happening.
It's just, I mean, does anyone really? I know it's Joshua. I get it. Is anyone really interested in this fight? Does anyone think this fight's going to be entertaining? Does anyone think Pulev has a legitimate chance to win? I mean,
I will say this: I do not think it's going to be entertaining, but I'm not counting out Pulev, so to speak, in this fight. I don't know really the game plan Joshua's going to have here, per se. I mean, Pulev could probably match him from a height and reach perspective. And I would also maybe argue Pulev has a better jab.
He's slow, though.
Very slow, but it's not like Joshua's...
No, Joshua's not Ali exactly either, yeah.
He's not a quick athlete. He's a very strong athlete. He's a very fundamental athlete, but he's not one that is quick. You know, he's not one that is extremely fast, so to speak, in my mind. Joshua's way to win this is probably be on the inside, throw combinations, get the uppercut going, and work the body. Because I think Pulev isn't really a good inside fighter. But if Joshua wants... How I see this fight ending up is both guys being stuck on the outside, throwing jabs, and it just being a jab fest.
That's exactly how I see it.
And I could see Pulev winning rounds. I'm not saying he's going to win this fight, obviously. I'm picking Joshua. Don't get me wrong, guys. But I'm just saying it's not out of the question for Pulev to win 4 or 5 rounds, if that's the fight that we see. Right?
I mean, I thought Parker won 4 rounds. I had 8-4 Joshua over Parker. I thought Parker won some rounds. So, I mean, I guess. But I also think, who would you pick, Parker or Pulev? I mean, that's kind of... I'd probably take Parker just because I think he's not as slow. But like, I don't see him having any more success than Parker did. And Parker can fight on the inside to some degree. Pulev can't, right? So unless Joshua wants to get in and mix it up and try to take his head up with an uppercut, it's gonna be a snore fest. It really is.
It's gonna be that, Gary. It's gonna be that. Let's just be honest about it. This is not gonna be a good fight. And because of that, Pulev could win it. So I do see Joshua knocking him out at some point. Like, that's what I do fundamentally see happening, is that he does connect with some, good combination, some good power punch, and everything changes. Now, I could see this fight going, let's say, 8 to 10 rounds of just nothing. And then him catch him a la Klitschko with Pulev, and it be over. I could absolutely see that happening. Because that fight was also a really boring fight till the knockout.
I remember the fight. I just don't remember. Like, I don't remember what it looked like. I don't remember it, so it wasn't good. I can promise you that, right? Like, if it was a good heavyweight fight, I remember it.
It's a good knockout, right?
Was it a right hand?
No, it's the check hook, right?
I don't remember.
I remember it now. I think it's the check hook. But digressing, guys. I think the Joshua Pulev fight's probably going to look a lot like Klitschko Pulev, to be quite honest. It just makes a lot of sense. Plus, Joshua reminds me a lot of Klitschko from a stylistic perspective. That's why that fight was, I think, really competitive and good, that Joshua Klitschko fight. Sort of circling back to a topic we talked about, not yesterday, the day before, Wednesday. Bob Arum is now talking about Kell Brook in an interview. It's not being reported as such and misreported. It's now being accurately stated that Bob Arum is talking about Kell Brook as an opponent for Terrence Crawford, being interviewed by Keith Idek of Boxing Scene. Bob Arum saying Brook won't quit against Crawford the way Khan quit, saying he's capable of giving Terrence Crawford a good fight, and he won't quit like a chicken like the way Amir Khan quit. Thoughts on this fight happening, because it does make sense. And I will say this, guys. Maybe Brook will be more competitive than previously thought. Crawford has not looked as as a destroyer of worlds as he once did at lightweight or 140, at 147. So maybe a guy like Kell Brook, who's a big, technically skilled, has a good pedigree, maybe he could give Crawford some issues. Plus, I'd probably be a far bigger, stronger guy than Crawford. Gary, is there any way for Kell Brook to actually win this fight? Is that possible here?
Again, I moved Crawford down on my pound for pound list because of his last performance. I still think that he beats everyone, right? Like, I still think he's the best boxer in the world. He just hasn't shown it in his last couple of fights, or his last fight. And then before he fought Khan, so that doesn't even count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't count that one.
Yeah, it doesn't. So. No, I'm a big Brook fan. I said Brook would win a title again. So, part of me wants Brook to win so I can say, ha, told you. I can't see any blueprint because you can't outbox him. How would he win? I don't know how he could rough him up, but that's not really who he is.
Mhm.
I mean, he'd probably be the bigger guy, right? In the ring, Brook would be the stronger guy in the ring.
Yeah.
Although Crawford's like Tommy Hearns, he's like wiry strong. Like he had no problem with Jeff Horn, who was a massive welterweight.
I don't agree with that assessment. Crawford had to be on the back foot, had to adapt to Horn. He just was heavy enough of a hitter to put Horn out.
Horn couldn't manhandle him and push him around the ring like he did Pacquiao.
Go back and watch that fight.
I'll watch it again.
Horn couldn't do it efficiently because Crawford was able to keep circling out the side door time and time again. But Crawford was pressured in that fight. It wasn't like Crawford was able to make Horn go backwards at all. He was just able to, tag that body up every time Horn was sloppily jumping at him. And I think Brook is a far more skilled fighter than obviously Jeff Horn.
He's far more skilled than Jeff Horn for sure. Yeah.
At that, respective to time and momentum, maybe Jeff Horn was a better opponent than Brook right now. But regardless, I think Kell Brook would be more able to efficiently and technically get on the inside, apply his strength and pressure on Crawford if he needs to do that, if that is the way to go about. I think it probably will be because I don't see him wanting to be on the outside with Crawford and just fighting at that range, especially if Crawford starts switching to southpaw. That'd be interesting to see what happens there. I see Brook trying to jab his way on the inside, tie up, work the body, sort of like similar to Sean Porter. It's very similar game plan to Sean Porter. Probably just more work on the inside, more work to the body because he wants to tire out the smaller fighter. I see that happening. But then again, I still see Terence Crawford winning the fight. Like Terence Crawford at some point is probably going to finish Kell Brook, in my opinion, probably in the late rounds, 10, 11, 12.
Unless his eye swells up or something like that, I don't think he finishes him, like knocks him out. Again, if the injury reappears, his broken orbital bone, and that swells up, and he can't see out of his eye, he could get stopped like that. But I don't see like Crawford dropping him several times and beating him like that. I don't see that happening.
I'll say this: Crawford, he gets better as the fight goes on. I think he's a good late finisher. I'll take the Jose Benavidez fight. It's a good example of that. And also, Kell Brook does fade as the fight wears on. He does lose the later rounds in most fights.
Did Benavidez make so much money in that fight he doesn't have to fight anymore? Because what happened to him? He hasn't fought since.
No, he got injured, didn't he? Didn't he tear his ACL or something?
I don't know. Guys,
I want something happened to him. Maybe it was a legal issue. I forget what it was, but something happened to Jose Benavidez. Because remember, he was supposed to fight Luis Collazo.
Yeah, he was. And
then I think whatever had happened, and then we got Collazo versus Abikadorov. But I want to say it was either a legal issue or an injury.
Okay.
Don't remember which one, because in boxing, flip of the coin, either or.
His brother got busted doing cocaine, and
told
Suleiman that it was just one time that he was doing it with hookers in Mexico. It's like, why would you tell someone that? I imagine that that's the truth because why would you make that up? But like, that's like,
who cares? Fuck that. I can't believe he got stripped for that.
But he got suspended. So he got suspended for a while. It was a year, wasn't it, or something? It was a while.
Yeah, they came down hard on.
So it's like you got to strip him at that point. If he's suspended for a year, like you're holding up the division at that point.
But they're the ones that suspended him.
That's true.
Yeah. It was all WBC because he wasn't suspended by a commission. He was suspended by the WBC. Or
you're right. Yeah. So it was like their own doing.
Yeah, it was weird. Like it was a let's get our own guy moment, which was just made no sense, especially when it was just cocaine. Like who gives a fuck? Tony was saying Benavidez got shot in the leg. No, we're talking about
after that. We know that. Yeah.
After that. That was before the Crawford fight. I'm talking about after the Crawford fight. Hamed is saying Benavidez got injured. I want to say he hurt himself. I lean more towards that way, but I forget.
But I also wanted Kell Brook for Virgil Ortiz, right? We're talking about that name, that intermediate name that Virgil Ortiz needs to beat before he fights at Crawford. Kell Brook's that guy. If you go beat Kell Brook, then you're on your way. So I really wanted that name for Virgil Ortiz. But like the Brick fight, it's again, it's like the Gamboa fight for Tank. It's not the worst fight. It's like it's fine. It's just I'm not hyped for it. It's not the best fight either.
Just breaking. Anthony Yard has announced that he's lost his grandmother as well to the coronavirus, as he lost his father last week. Prayers out to Anthony Yard and the family, man. That's
rough, man. Yeah,
man. We're gonna get into some sad stories later on the show, but I wanted to sort of push that off and have some more regular boxing talk. But yeah, prayers and thoughts to Anthony Yard. Just saw that notification on my phone. Just wanted to quickly mention that. Let's move on to a topic that we were discussing last night, Gary. And we may have different opinions about who is to blame for this bullshit. Ryan Garcia stating, my fight with Gervonta Davis should be $80 on DAZN pay-per-view. Gary, I have a lot of thoughts, but I want your thoughts first. React.
First of all, the DAZN pay-per-view is not even a thing. Like, that's right? I pay for the DAZN already.
Eddie Hearns out there mentioning it as well for I know AJ Fury fight, AJ Wilder fight.
AJ Fury is different than Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis.
By the way, neither fight should be a DAZN pay-per-view.
No, neither one. But if one was going to be made a pay-per-view, it'd be AJ versus Fury. Not this silliness. But like, I like this fight. You know, I would have laughed at this fight a year ago, but I don't know. Like I would still pick Tank.
Yeah,
Ryan's like really good. Like, all right, let's do it.
Not pay-per-view.
Not on pay-per-view. Like, that's so absurd and silly. Like $80 for that. For what is Ryan Garcia's best win?
His last fight.
But that was a 130 pounder who had no good wins at 130.
No, that's not his best. That's not his best win. Jason Velez.
Okay, that's probably his best win in a life and death fight with Jason Velez. Now he's gotten better since then. Well, at least it looks, but he hasn't fought anybody good as Velez since.
Life and death. That's how I sound. Obviously, when I say that Chaz Witherspoon touched up Usyk, right? That's how I sound. I'm imagining. No, I'm joking. You're right. Obviously, I think this is a fight that a year ago would have been a joke. Now, honestly, makes a lot of sense in the division with where the division's going, where fighters are at, and where they're positioned. It's a fight that would, after Linares, obviously, would be a really great fight to make. It would be a fight that would make sense because Garcia just beat Jorge Linares, and that's a better win, arguably, than Jose Pedraza from a name value perspective. And that's Gervonta Davis's best win still.
Wait, I thought we were doing Linares versus Ryan Garcia in the Staples Center.
That's what I just said. That's first. After that
comes in.
Yeah, Gervonta Davis. It makes complete sense after that. Because he just beat, in theory, right, in this hypothetical, thought experiment, he just beat Jorge Linares going on to fight Gervonta Davis. The counter argument to what we're saying here is that there's been far other worse pay-per-views out there in the market than two, stars in the making, prospects / champions, right? Two guys that are exciting fighters, that are knockout artists. I get that argument because I assume that's the argument that would be put out there to defend this fight being pay-per-view. But guess what? Most pay-per-views should not be pay-per-view. A lot of the fights that are behind paywalls should not be behind paywalls. That's just the God honest truth right now. So even though you can bring up X, Y, and Z in terms of pay-per-view fights that were shit fights that this one's probably better in, you're going to get more bang for your buck, this one still shouldn't be that, and those shouldn't be pay-per-view either. So, but
the bigger problem is both these guys have star-making ability.
Absolutely. Right?
If you put it on Fox, a lot of people will get to see two future stars in an action, the fight would be fireworks, right? Like, you think it would be a good offensive fight?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Or so you get two stars in a high-action fight.
There's no
Let's hide it behind an $8 price tag so no one watches it, and we don't build stars. You know what I'm saying? It's like
even Showtime would be a discredit to what this fight could mean for boxing to a degree. Same with like Haney, Ryan Garcia. Like, that fight's going to be on DAZN. That sucks. Those are the two next American big names in boxing, and they're on an app that, you know, a million of us have in this country. Tops.
It's like if the NBA hit all of Zion Williamson's game, how would that be good for anyone? Like, you got to pay $80 to watch Zion Williamson. No, here it is for free. Watch every single moment he plays. We may even follow him into the bathroom. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you hide this fight? I would put this fight on Fox so everyone watches it.
Yes. Prime time on Fox. And honestly, this is one of those cards, like, if you're worried about it being costly, give it a shit undercard. If it's on Fox, I don't care.
No.
If it's the main event, you can give us shit undercard fights for, you know, 2 or 3 fights before this and then lead into this. Absolutely.
And if Oscar's confident in his guy, not even that he can win, that he can make this thing an entertaining, all-out firepower offense, he would make it, because it would make Ryan Garcia a household name outside of just, you know, 16-year-old girls who have a crush on him. It would make him a household name to fight fans and casual sports fans.
At least closer to it, that's for sure. And I think you're right about that. Even if Garcia were to lose in an exciting all-action fight, that would be a huge boom.
It's like Gaddy Ward. Who won Gaddy Ward 1? No one even remembers, right? It doesn't matter.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I don't disagree with you at all. And plus, like, even like Oscar has lost some big fights and didn't matter. You know, like it's okay.
He lost most of his big fights. He beat Whitaker, but he lost that one. And then he lost to Trinidad, but won that one. And then, like, he lost to Hopkins. He lost to Pacquiao. He lost to Floyd. I mean, he lost all of his big fights, basically. The only one he won was Whitaker, and he really lost that fight.
He beat Travis twice.
Those were big in name only. Yeah.
That's like Marciano Joe Louis. Right. That's the 90s version of that to a degree. Tony Leonard Elby not sending his guy to the dead zone. Right now, it seems like a dead zone, man. They have no content right now. They're not paying any of their leagues, any of their license fees.
I'm really interested in following that case to see how that.
So fascinated.
Yeah.
You know me, I nerd out by like the weirdest shit in this industry. That's one of those things that I am obsessed about with what happens there. And the domino effect with other networks or media companies deciding, hey, we don't need to pay you guys right now. You guys are not giving us content. We're supposed to pay you for X, Y, and Z for these months. You have nothing to give us. Why are we paying you? And I bet you some legal teams are right now going to zone did it. Let's figure out how we can do it. Especially if this shit, let's say, is gone for like, or sports are gone for a year. Let's say, Gary, like a worst case scenario, right? Fall season's dead. Summer's dead. Like there's no sports for that time. What do you do as a media company that technically would probably have to pay some of your license fees out, but you still get no content, and now you're in this huge drought that's unprecedented.
So basketball will play its game with no fans. I'm confident of that.
You're pretty confident of that?
I think baseball you can still play because it's outside and you're social distancing. You're 60 feet away from the pitcher, 90 feet away from the first baseman. You'll be fine. And no one goes to the games anyway, so who cares?
And we've also seen it in recent times of games with no fans, like in Baltimore. So it has
most baseball games are half empty anyway. So what difference does it make? And I'm a big baseball fan. I'm just saying, like, look at the attendance over the last 5 years. It ain't great. So whatever.
What about NFL?
That's going to be tough because it's an event. Right? Like you go to an NFL game or a college football game, it's an event. It's all day. It's literally 100,000 people, and then some in the parking lot. Right? Like that's going to be rough. You can't have a football game with no fans.
Through. Like imagine those linemen. Like there's no there's no
separation.
I really not worry. I just wonder. Because it's not like in the grand scheme of life, guys, like these sports is not like the biggest worry, obviously, but you know, it's a sports podcast, so we have to worry about it. I wonder what happens if the NFL season gets pushed back. Like,
it's going to get pushed back, I'd imagine, right? Because they haven't even started camp or anything. I mean, you can't go into football like baseball. You can't take, a 2-week spring training and then go play football. You got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like boxing. You got to get yourself into tip-top shape and run the plays and get yourself. It's not Baseball is basically an individual sport that masquerades as a team sport, right? Like you do your job and it doesn't really affect anyone. Maybe the pitcher and the catcher have to have a chemistry, but football, it's like Christmas lights. One go out, they all go out, right? Like if one thing breaks down, it all breaks down. So, I mean, you have to not only be in shape, you have to be sharp, right? You can't go into it like on a short camp.
So much money is going to be lost.
But it's not because football, they can play it whenever. Right? Like if they start the season in December and play till March or April, okay, fine. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's not going to affect the ratings. It's football.
But this is what I also talked about, I think, on the last show, one of the shows we were discussing this slightly. What happens when, let's say, it's 12 months, 18 months, no sports, and then every sports league wants to start up day one? What do you do as a TV network if you're CBS or your Fox, ABC, and ESPN, and you have to schedule now NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, UFC, boxing, everything at the same time now. And everything's wanting dates.
Streaming services. Ooh, conspiracies. You get everyone to pay for a streaming service for each sport.
ESPN Plus coming back. Coming strong.
That's what we're doing. Big networks and big sport put this together.
NBC has their new thing called Peacock, right? That's their streaming service coming. You hear about that?
I don't even know.
Yeah. CBS has a pretty good streaming app service, and they're like CBS All Access app.
Yeah,
you could do that, and it could be a way to jettison the move from TV to digital and streaming from a network perspective, and somehow make it profitable to do that, if that makes sense, which is disgusting to say that. But that's just the fact of it. I don't know. This also goes back to my conspiracy theory, even though it's not really a conspiracy theory, about this boxing bubble we have. Let's say in January, right? Every sports wants dates. Why would ESPN give a bunch of dates to boxing when they have everything, all these other obligations to bigger sports? Why would the Zone would have to, because they don't have a lot of other sporting rights.
But that's what I'm saying. ESPN, it keeps ESPN Plus at $5, but then it makes a $5 boxing app, a $5 basketball app, a $5 baseball app. You can watch all your games, but you got to pay $5 for each one.
That would suck.
Yeah, but people would do it. I would do it. Like I don't have a choice.
First off, I don't think it would be that way. It would be packages. So similar to like having for example, I wanted to watch some stupid documentary from a long time ago on History Channel. So I got the History Vault 30-day trial add-on on Amazon Prime Video, so I could watch that stupid documentary. It's gonna be something like that, where you buy add-ons, you buy the Showtime package or whatever, maybe, right? You're gonna buy the MLB package for ESPN. Plus,
right?
That would suck.
Baseball would be because no one really watches out of town baseball. Because your team plays every day for the most, 6 days a week at least. So no, out of town baseball doesn't do big ratings, right? That's why they always want the Yankees or the Cubs or the Dodgers on the ESPN game, because they have the biggest natural markets.
Yes.
Because if they put, even if it was a good game, like if it was, give me two teams, good teams from small markets, and you put it on ESPN.
St. Louis Cardinals
versus
Milwaukee Brewers.
Milwaukee Brewers. Fine, good game. Small markets, right? Like, I mean, you're not bringing other people in because their team played that day. So, yeah. I mean, you just out of town baseball doesn't work because your team plays every day. So that would, but football, you could make a killing off a football package. Like whenever that gets divided, they're gonna make so much money off of that.
Sunday ticket alone is a huge rights fee that the NFL gets.
It's the reason why people have DirecTV.
Yeah, it is. It's the reason why my family got DirecTV back in the day, was for the NFL Sunday ticket.
Yeah.
That's why we got it. Tony A on the chat saying, don't give them ideas, Hipster. Don't want to pay more for my sports. Keep them on network TV. Network TV is going to die, man.
I'm saying you can basically, like, if they put all sports to streaming services, I would drop cable.
Yeah.
Why would you need it? The only reason why you need cable at this point, everything else you can get on a streaming service. Everything else.
I haven't used my cable package, my YouTube TV package at all, since we don't have boxing on right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I keep my Showtime subscription because they have a great movie library that I can go into also because like I do like watching movies. Same with HBO. Like why I have HBO still because they have a great movie library I can go into with Netflix
And Curb Your Enthusiasm. You want to watch that?
That is a great show. I want to get into Barry though. I've been wanting to get into Barry a lot. I like.
They still had like I remember like when I was your age, it had The Wire, it had The Sopranos, it had so many good shows. Entourage, like, and now I feel like it doesn't have that many good shows.
Well, Westworld has been out. I haven't been watching this new season. I like that show a lot. I just haven't had time because usually on Sundays I have my kid, so I don't have time to watch a TV MA show with my 5-year-old. Not really suitable. What else? Game of Thrones just ended. They had Watchmen. That was really good too. Some other recent shows they've had. I'm trying to remember. But no, I mean, Sopranos, The Wire, those are classics. Those are all-time great TV shows. You don't get those all the time. Game of Thrones is an all-time great TV show.
The first couple of seasons of Entourage were great, but then it just got stupid because it was like there's nothing else to do with the show, right? Like it.
You want to know something that's really sad, Gary? You're gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna get a lot of hate in the chat. I know it. I haven't watched any of those shows.
Really?
Sopranos, The Wire, and Entourage.
The Sopranos.
Never watched any of those.
And The Wire are timeless. I mean, they're probably, Sopranos and The Wire Sopranos probably at least 20 years ago it came out, but you could watch it. It's not going to feel dated at all. Except for it takes place in Jersey. So the style, like their fashion, looks ridiculous. Outside of that, it's timeless. And The Wire is timeless too.
I've wanted to go back and watch them, and there's some of the things that I put on my list of content. I want to watch either movies, TV shows, fights, whatever it may be. In this quarantine process to go back and finally watch, especially The Wire, because everyone talks about The Wire, I think especially. But I just haven't seen it. It was before my time. I was a kid when those shows came out. Not like I could go and watch those shows with my parents. That just wasn't happening.
That wasn't going to happen when you were a kid. Yeah, I mean, I still wouldn't watch The Wire.
And plus, my parents never really watched those HBO shows either. My parents were like, they worked till like 7, 8 p.m. every night. So when they got home, they really didn't give a shit about TV. My dad would watch baseball or something like that. And that would be about it. My mom watched, stupid rom-coms. That's about it.
Yeah. I watched The Sopranos once because we used to have a Sopranos night when I was in college. And we drink scotch and smoke cigars and then watch The Sopranos. But I guess it was like Christmas or something. I was home and I watched the one episode with my parents. It was the one where Tony beat Ralphie to death, and it's the most graphic, violent scene. Like you feel like you're actually there when Tony's beating this guy to death. It's like, ugh. Oh, you've never seen the show, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But if anyone in the chat, go watch the show. It's like
I know how the show. I know how the show ends. Like that's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, because none of us know how the show ends. Did Tony get shot? How did it end?
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, worst ending ever. Yeah.
I know how like a lot of these shows and even movies I haven't seen how they end or go because it's on the internet, and I end up watching YouTube videos that explain top 10 movies doing whatever. And they talk about, some movie or top 10 TV shows that do whatever. And I end up getting spoilers about everything that I have not seen. So that's what always leads me to not watching some of the stuff that I have not seen because I kind of already know what happens. Fades to Black. That's cool. I want to watch 5 seasons and get to that.
How many people? The Sopranos was like 7 or 8 seasons.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But how many people check their cable box saying like, what happened to The Sopranos? It could have ended like this. Like my TV went out, right? Like that's what happened.
I would have been so pissed off if that happened. I would have wrote a strongly worded letter to HBO.
It just sucks. It's like the greatest show ever, and then that's how it ends. It's like
most shows end pretty bad, though. For being quite honest, right? Like, especially like the great shows because they usually get to a point where they're too long. They've gone too long. So like. The last season's like they're just trying to wrap up all these plot lines that are just stupid. Every sitcom's like that for sure.
Yeah.
With like the last seasons are the worst. I feel like most drama TV shows are like that too. Like the first 2, 3, 4 seasons are always the classics, and then it just progressively gets worse after that.
The Wayans brothers which is one of the top 5 funniest shows ever. It just got pulled. It was just done. Like, that's it. Like, it was some miss that no one watched. The Wayans Brothers was fantastic. One of the funniest sitcoms ever.
Santiago says, I was personally fond of True Blood on HBO and Dexter. I didn't like those shows.
Dexter was Showtime, though, wasn't it?
I think Dexter was Showtime.
Yeah.
So you're wrong, Santiago.
Fact checked.
And he's saying U.S. of Terra. I don't know what that is. And he's also saying the first season of Homeland on Showtime. I've never watched Homeland. That does not appeal to me at all.
I never watched Homeland. I never watched House of Cards. You ever watch House of Cards?
No,
Me either.
Those never appealed to me. I think when I started really getting into politics, is when I realized like all political movies or TV shows are such horse shit. It's like I don't want to watch it. Like West Wing, right? The classic Aaron Sorkin TV show.
Yeah, West Wing was okay. I mean, I didn't watch it religiously, but I watch it here and there.
That's a load of just dog shit, man. God. Ugh. Neoliberal bullshit. But digressing from that. Let's get back to boxing. Still on Ryan Garcia, though. Devin Haney decided he was bored in this quarantine, and he wanted to send him a lovely message and see how he was doing. So he texted Ryan Garcia, I'm going to fuck you up, just letting you know. And Ryan responded, good luck. I love this. And I love that these are the only text messages between the two. It's just these two. That's it. Oh, it's hilarious. Gary, thoughts on this interaction between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia? Which fight are we going to get first? Haney, Garcia, or Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia?
Oh, Haney Garcia, because they fight on the same network format, streaming service. You're not getting Tank Davis. Oscar's not going to do that, and neither would. I mean, Oscar should, which means he won't, and Al's not going to do that. Al's going to have him fight guys he knows he can beat. And he should be able to beat Ryan Garcia, but he's going to have him fight an in-house guy he knows he can beat. I mean, I'm just being real. Haney versus Garcia will happen at some point, so that'll happen first. They both get wrecked by Tanahara, so it's kind of like who wants to lose to Tanahara, but
Tanahara is ducking that smoke. He had the contract. He had the offer.
You don't know the number on the contract.
It was probably good.
It was probably good.
Probably good.
Probably good.
In this era, come on, man. It was probably good.
Eddie Hearn said it wasn't for millions of dollars or anything like that.
Well, you're trying to get paid millions of dollars for fighting Devin Haney right now.
Well,
hold on. Hot take here. None of these guys are probably getting paid millions of dollars right now.
If Garcia versus Haney got announced tomorrow, whenever boxing returns, you don't think they'd be making 7 figures?
You know my thoughts on the current market and fighter pay.
But that's what I'm saying. You got to take advantage of it.
No. I think that it is a wrong precedent to set, right? So I think all these guys should get paid a little bit less than what they're getting paid right now from a guarantee perspective. Just how it should be. Haney, Garcia, if they fought right now, they should get paid, $1 million each, probably. But not millions.
They shouldn't, because then neither of them has beaten anybody, especially Haney. Haney's best win is
money comes from draw power, not from who you beat.
Yeah.
No,
you're right about that.
And they draw more than other guys that have beat better opponents. That's why they would probably get $1 million each, in my opinion, in a perfect world. But millions, with an S at the end?
With an S?
No. I mean, Keith Thurman and Sean Porter got paid $2 million each guaranteed to fight each other.
I mean, that was only a couple of years ago, but totally different market.
But that,
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that's
but Gary, for people that maybe are newer fans, because that does happen, we have newer fans always come into the sport. Our criticism of DAZN and it inflating the market was a criticism of PBC 4 years ago, right?
Yeah,
that they're paying these guys way too much. And look at the market now.
I heard that Joe Smith got $600,000 for his fight with Jesse Hart.
Yeah,
he got $150 to fight Hopkins in a bigger fight on HBO, and I get $600 to fight. I mean, he's kind of the B side in either one. I mean, when he fights Hopkins, he's definitely the B side, but it's a bigger fight, right? There's more eyes, and that's Hopkins' last fight, a legend, and Joe Smith was kind of this upstart, right? He had knocked off on Farah right before that.
Absolutely bigger event. It was an
Yeah,
absolute
and he got
event.
150 for it, which I thought was a little low even for that time. But I guess he had to take it if he believed in himself.
I will say this because Santiago's in the chat. He's going to remind me of that story. I was there for that card, right? I left before the main event.
Was that in LA?
Yes, it was. It was at the Forum. Don't ask me why a
Shouldn't that
Philly
be an
fighter.
East Coast fight? Yeah,
Don't
okay,
ask me
whatever.
why a Philly fighter and a tri-state area fighter were fighting in the Forum in Inglewood, California. Don't ask me
Oscar
why.
probably wanted to go to it. He's like, if you put it across the country, I'm not going to travel. So put it here, and I'll go to it.
Yeah, I left before the main event. It was so bad. Santiago, hopefully in the chat can remind me of this. And also, guys, call in if you guys want. Skype Makes Combat Radio. Skype line is open. The DJ or MC that was there was constantly yelling, like the entire time. And he was wearing a Santa outfit, I want to say.
Because it was Christmas time. Yeah.
And it was like running around and yelling and trying to get women to dance with him. It was the weirdest fucking thing ever. And that undercard was so trash. There was no atmosphere. I left. I almost fell asleep in my seat. I just left. I went home.
DJ was definitely drunk and on coke with Oscar for sure, right?
Absolutely. And also, if it was the DJ that also is,
that's right. Oscar's
DJ. It could be.
Could be. Probably was. Yeah.
It's all connecting now. Scott Brown is saying Matt was a Big Love fan. I've never seen that TV show.
That was a weird show. I watched it a couple. I mean, not religiously, but I watched it a few times. It was weird.
It's a show about Mormons, right? That's what Scott.
Yeah.
Was it a good show?
No, I mean it's kind of like a train wreck. Like it's a Mormon version of like Tiger King. It's like, this is weird, man.
Okay. Yeah, not my cup of tea. I'll be honest. Most of the time when I'm actually just watching TV or movies at like on the day or at night, like in my bed, I want something that's funny or a documentary. Like that's usually what I'm going for. Like most of the time. Something that can make me laugh or something that's educational. Anything else that's in between, I don't know. Just don't really have time for it nowadays, at least. Moving on, though. Mikey Garcia is saying, my brother and father still feel I'm too small for 147 pounds. Gary.
Because you're too small for 147. I mean, like, you're too small. He comes up from 26, don't forget. He's too small. Right? Like, in reality, Pacquiao and Mayweather are too small for 47, but they were that great. You know, and Mikey would be too small, but if he was that great, it would still translate. But he's not.
Why is Mikey so dense and thick-headed and stubborn when his entire family and the entire boxing community is like, hey, you know what? Go down to 140. Or hell, take a year off, which you can now, get back in shape, and go down to 135, where you could be the king of that division.
I think he could be the king of 140. I mean, he can't definitely be the king of 140, but I don't know that I would pick either Prograis or Taylor. He wouldn't fight Ramirez, so that would be tough. But I don't know that I'd pick any of those guys against Mikey. But at 35, he was great.
I'll say this. Jesse Vargas arguably beat him.
At 47, a much bigger guy.
Yeah, but Mikey still wasn't good at 140. Sergey Lipinets roughed him up.
He dropped Lipinets and beat him wide.
He did
But
not
Lipinets, we talk about
how not beat him wide. Stop that.
He won
You need
8
to go back
rounds.
and watch the fight. You need to go back.
He won 8 rounds and dropped him. That's wide.
You're talking about the judges' scorecards or what actually happened in the ring?
I thought the judges got it right. What did the judges have? I thought Mikey clearly won. I'm not saying Lipinets didn't have moments, but Mikey definitely had more moments and dropped them.
Did he get touched up by Sergey Lipinets?
Yes, he got touched up. But Sergey Lipinets, we talk about Lipinets is a tough out for anyone. Right? You're not just going to go in there.
But I think Prograis, Taylor are better than Lipinets. Drastically better than Lipinets.
Yeah, yeah.
So I will say this. Mikey could be the king 140, but I agree with you that it's not a walk in the park. 135 could be, to a degree. Like, I could see him beating Loma rather easily.
Teofimo would be a hell of a fight.
That would be a good fight. I could see him beating Devin Haney right now for sure. Ryan Garcia, Devontae Davis. Like, he could beat those guys. I would pick him to beat those guys. I don't know if I would pick him to beat Prograis or Josh Taylor right now.
Those are great fights. Those are all any lineup of those three, any combination, a permutation of those three, they're 50-50 fights. And that's why Prograis Taylor was a 50-50 fight, right? And you put Mikey in there, I don't know. I mean, he could beat those guys, or he might lose to all three. Not that he would fight Ramirez, but he could lose all those fights too.
He could. Though I don't see him losing all of those fights on 135. He could.
No. The only one I think maybe he could lose is Teofimo. Look at Mikey's I like Mikey, and he's a good enough athlete, but he's not an all-world athlete. Teofimo is. I mean,
you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Teofimo might be the toughest fight stylistically as well. He has the most pop in the division right now, it seems like.
He's much bigger and stronger than Loma. I've always picked him to beat Loma if they ever made that fight at 35. Teofimo, that guy is he's great and it's waiting to happen.
Scott Brown saying Loma schools Mikey just like he's going to school Tio. I'll say this. Loma hasn't schooled anyone at 135.
No.
Am I wrong in that?
No.
He's been dropped at 135 as well. Yeah, no. If they were fighting maybe at 126, like prime Mikey at 126, prime Loma at 126, that'd be a really good fight. Really good fight. At 135, I think Mikey's a little bit too big and strong, to be honest, and Loma's a little bit outsized. Similar to a degree as Mikey at 147. Not the same one-to-one comparison there, but being outsized in a division is an issue when power and strength is a massive contributing factor to who wins a fight. Gary, any other thoughts?
I agree with everything you just said.
Let's move on to Amir Khan. Yeah, guys, it's that sort of day, right? Amir Khan unsure about boxing future amidst mulling retirement. And then he came out and was like, no, wait, guys. No, I'm not retiring. I still want the Manny Pacquiao fight and the Cub Rourke fight. Robbie Hearns, can you make those happen, please? What do you want to see from Amir Khan, man?
I can't believe he's only 33. There's no way.
Quickly. Somebody correct us. He did. Loma did destroy Corolla. That is for sure.
That's true.
Everyone else, no. But you're right about that, Scott G. I do apologize. I forgot about Corolla, which I shouldn't. That was a great knockout, and he did demolish him. Gosh, but I also say that Corolla is not Mikey Garcia.
Only to Robbie is. To Robbie's a legend.
He cried when he retired.
It was sad.
To be fair, though, when Ortiz retires or Tanahara, man, I'm gonna be worried about you, Gary.
Why? Good for them. They'll have multiple titles. They had a great career. Hopefully, they have their money in place. Great. Enjoy the next stage of your life. God bless. Why is it making me sad? It's not like Kobe Bryant was he just can't play anymore. But this is boxing, right? You can't. Good. Get out while you still have your brain intact.
No, I agree. Speaking of a little bit sad here, but first off, I didn't get your thoughts. Amir Khan, do you want to see him fight again?
Kind of, because I want to see him get knocked out again. I don't know why. He's not a bad guy, right? I don't know why I like watching him. It's not like Margarito or Broner where I like to watch him lose. I just like to watch him lose. I don't really know why.
You know why Amir Khan's knockouts are so great? Because they're so comically artistic in how it goes down.
The Canelo knock, the Danny Garcia one was great too because he just.
Oh yeah, you get the safety leg and the shake. Ooh, man, those are hilarious. I mean, even the Crawford knockout where he blamed getting hit in the nuts, it's always comical.
The first one, Brandon Prescott, was phenomenal because he hit him and it's that. And then he got up and he hit him again. It's this fight's over. It's 10 minutes. It's over. This is the prospect I'm supposed to be up in arms about. This is the guy.
You know how Chavez Jr. Is the joke because all of his fights are weird to a degree. His His headlines are always weird. Khan is that for getting knocked out. Like, we just want to see it. We just do. It's always funny. I want to see Chavez talking to Mickey Rourke as he's like under a blanket with a beanie on, looking scared as fuck, like he's high on meth or something. Okay, and I want to see Amir Khan unconscious because it's hilarious.
Virgil Ortiz, put him in with Verge.
But also, I'll be honest, I don't want to see him getting more brain damage. He needs to retire.
He's only 30. Didn't he feel like he'd be like 40 to you? They said 30. They were like, there's no way. He was born in 87. I was like, I feel like he's 100 years old.
He was fighting top level competition at a very young age.
He was. Like that Judah fight had to be 10 years ago, right? 9 years ago?
I'll be honest. There's a great article that could be made comparing him to Fernando Vargas. A fantastic article that could be made. Great, upstart prospects, young stars, so to speak, right? But man, they just lose all those big fights very early on and get beat up in the process, and they're never the same. There's a great comparison op-ed about those two fighters.
Yeah, but Fernando Vargas was cool. He had the devil hair, remember? I loved Fernando Vargas.
So Amir Khan's not cool.
No.
Coach Mitty right now is getting very mad with you. Fernando Vargas was cool though.
You know what fight I watched last night? Winky Wright versus Felix Trinidad. Boy, that was an outclassing. I had a debate with the matchmaker from Roy Jones Jr. His name is Guy Taylor on who was a better 154 pounder, Terry Norris or Winky Wright. I was like, Terry Norris had a better career. I don't know who would have won that fight, right? And I just wanted to go back and watch Winky Wright. So I watched Winky Wright versus Felix Trinidad. Boy, that was not clear. He won every minute of every round. Like
you can make the argument he's the best junior middleweight of all time.
But that was I said Terry Norris. He said Winky Wright. I was like, I want to go back and watch some classic Winky. Because Winky was one of those guys. It's like, well, what does he do that's so good? Right? You can never really put your finger on it.
He was awkward. The way he set up shots was weird. He's such a gifted southpaw too. He was just a good fighter. And he was crafty. Like, I know that's such a X factor, like ethereal thing, but he was a crafty fighter. And like craftiness is something that you can't quantify, so to speak, like strength or knockout percentage.
Yeah.
All right. But he was crafty. He knew how to upset the rhythm. There's a lot of maybe comparisons to like an Andre Ward to a degree where like, you can't really pinpoint what he was good at or great at, so to speak, but he was just a crafty boxer.
But Andre Ward was made out of the same stuff as Captain America's shield. That's why Andre Ward is great.
Except his shoulder.
Except the shoulder. That's his Achilles heel.
That was. Moving on. Israel Vasquez, obviously retired boxer who the Showtime just showed all of his fights with Rafael Marquez, or at least 3 of the fights. I don't think they showed the 4th one. Then they showed just 3 of the fights, right? Did you watch that, by the way, that Showtime?
I didn't see. I mean, I saw all 4 fights. I didn't go back and they're great fights.
Yes. He has come out now in an interview with Manuk Akwapayan from Boxing Scene LA Times, and he's actually dealing with a lot of health issues right now, and it's very sad to see. Blind in one eye, and I forget what disease he has. I'm trying to find it right now in the article, so I don't misquote it. But he's now 112 pounds, diagnosed with systematic sclerosis, a rare chronic autoimmune rheumatic disorder that causes degenerative changes to internal organs as well as the skin. The former 122-pound champion is now 112 pounds. He says he has now gotten under control and he's doing well, and it's not life-threatening at this point. But just thoughts and prayers to Israel Vasquez, man, and a continual reminder of boxers post-career. It is rough.
That's what I was saying about Virgil Ortiz. Now, get out as soon as you can. Make some money and treat the sport like a thoroughbred. Don't let it treat you like a thoroughbred. And I read that article. Vasquez was only like 43. I mean, that's a young man. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess because they start so young in the smaller weight classes. I thought he was a lot older too. It's like 43. I'm 36. Like 43 doesn't sound old to me anymore.
We got to think about when he was having those fights with Afro Marquez, he was probably the same age as you were.
Yeah.
Right? Or, I mean, just a few years older, right? I mean, he wasn't too much older than you.
Right.
And those fights happened when you were in college or right out of college?
The fourth one happened years later, I want to say, but those happened when I was right out of college.
Yeah. So he must have been, 26, 27 years old. Those fights happened, that makes sense. But yeah, just thoughts and prayers to him and hope that he's able to continue to get better, man. Sad stories. On the line of more sad stuff, and less sad than that, though, California has canceled all combat sports events through May, as well as Japan. I want to say also, yes, British Boxing Board of Control extends its boxing suspension through May as well. So, guys, no boxing through May. Don't be surprised if it's longer. Just want to give you guys the update. Gary, any thoughts on that? No.
That's what I'm saying. When they postponed everything, it's like, well, we're just postponing it to postponing it.
Yeah.
It's like the girl who you want to go out with. It's next week. Next week. She's not going out with you, bro. Let's take a hint. She's canceled on you 4 times. Let's just move on.
Let's talk about a topic that I know you hold near and dear to your heart, and a topic that Golden Boy is now ballsy enough to now push out there to the public. Verge Ortiz versus Earl Spence, or as they originally post, Earl Spence versus Earl Spence, but they deleted and then posted again. Golden Boy making this post. Throwback Thursday. Will they ever fight? At Earl Spence and Verge Ortiz with a picture of a baby Verge Ortiz. Man, he must be what, 10 years old there?
10, so that would make Errol probably 17, 18.
Yeah. That's a great picture, brother.
Yeah.
That's one of those that in a documentary, if Ortiz becomes something, will become a great picture in that documentary. Gary, thoughts on Golden Boy now pushing this narrative a little bit?
I'm with it, right? Like, hopefully that we can do it in Philadelphia, or we could do it in Kansas or something like that. Because why would you put it in Dallas, right? Like, that would be stupid.
Mulvane, bro. Mulvane.
Mulvane, Kansas. There you go. Or Sloan City, Iowa, something like that. When I make the fight, Virgil Ortiz thought that the fight would eventually happen at 154 because it would be such a big thing. Once Virgil moves up and is, in that pound for pound discussion, that Spence will ever be out of the division. So he's like, yeah, I want to fight Hooker first, and then I want to fight Spence. But by the time the Spence fight finally happens, it'll probably be at 54. It's the same. It's the same thing with Crawford. It's like, let's make the fight, but shouldn't he take something in the middle first? Right? Like, he was supposed to fight this past weekend. But even that, who was that supposed to be against? That was nobody again.
What was his name? It was the dude that gave Robert Guerrero that tough fight, wasn't it? No. It was the guy Kell Brook beat. Remember that I thought roughed him up a bit. Not Kell Brook. Amir Khan.
Samuel Vargas.
No, Samuel Vargas. Thank you.
Vargas dropped Amir Khan in that fight. Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone drops Amir Khan though. I just give him a Collazo or give him a veteran like that. I thought Kell Brook would be perfect. And then if he takes care of business there, then have him fight those guys. But just to go from Brad Solomon to Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence, I mean, no one's tested him yet. Obviously, these guys are going to test him. I mean, how are you going to respond to that? You know what I'm saying? I make the fight as soon as possible. But for a Virgil Ortiz, he's 22. There's no rush. It's like, go fight someone and then fight him a year from now. But if they want to make it tomorrow, I'm all for it. So long as it's in Dallas.
I think a legitimate path for him to get towards Earl Spence is to go fight, let's say, the winner of Delorme, Jamal James, whenever that fight happens.
That'd be a great winner, yeah.
And honestly, if you're Golden Boy, you have to start thinking about sending him to another network just to make that fight, Like, send him over to fight, let's say Jamal James wins that. Have him fight Jamal James on a Fox card. And the winner of that fight, fight Spence on a pay-per-view. I'll be okay with that. Even if it's Jamal James that beats, Virgil Ortiz. I think that would be a great title eliminator, in my opinion, for anyone in the division.
Absolutely. But get him a name. Like, I thought Figueroa would be a good name. Just let him fight someone who's tough and rugged and is going to put up a fight.
He would beat up an Omar Figueroa right now. Omar's not looking good.
No, he's not.
Somebody bring up 92 Aku, Josito Lopez. Great fighter.
Great name, but same camp.
Yeah, that's one issue. I always forget that. They're buddies. That's not going to happen. Sergey Lipinets, Ordonis Ugas.
That's the Lipinets they wouldn't make because Lipinets is too tough, right? Like it's just a bad look. It's not a guy with a lot of name value. The juice isn't worth the squeeze in that one. Josecito Lopez would be a great one because everyone knows Josecito. He's tough, and Virgil should beat him. But again, that fight's not going to happen because they're in the same camp.
Everybody knows Josecito Lopez.
From the Keith Thurman fight, I mean, he fought Canelo and he fought Keith Thurman. I mean, he's kind of a name, yeah.
He fought Canelo years ago.
He also beat the pretty Victor Ortiz. Broke his jaw. Remember, made him quit.
Did he beat Jesse Vargas or Jesse Vargas beat him?
Jesse Vargas beat him. That was years ago. That was a great fight. There was some controversy in that. I thought Vargas won. A lot of people think Josecito Lopez won.
And Jesse Vargas was like 20 when that fight happened.
Yeah,
he was so young, man. That was actually a really good fight too. When do you think this fight happens? Give a year. 2022?
Yeah, 2022. Because I think Virgil Ortiz, if Spence and Crawford don't fight each other in 2021, I think Virgil Ortiz will, and Virgil Ortiz will beat Crawford. If that happens, then it might get fast forward. I say 2022. 2022.
Yeah.
Because this year's basically over. Like, we don't know if we're going to get boxing again this year. So, I don't know.
I agree. Moving on, Michael Hunter looking for an IBF eliminator with the God, Charles Martin. Gary, your reaction to this amazing fight? I
think both these guys are pretty good. Like, obviously, none of them are going to beat.
They're great B-level fighters.
Right. None of them are going to beat Joshua, or Usyk will probably have those belts by then, whenever that got called, because Usyk will beat Joshua for all the belts. But, I mean, it's a good fight. I mean, I would take Hunter. I think Hunter's more skilled. I think Hunter's a better athlete. But this is a fine fight for what it is. You know, make it a co-main event for a good fight. Like, it's fine. It's a fun fight, and it's competitive. I would lean towards Hunter.
Oh, of course, I lean towards Hunter. But this is like one of those fun, sloppy heavyweight fights that I would probably get into. Plus, it's Charles Martin, who's like a beloved figure in the community, surprisingly. I mean, think about it, Gary. That guy was a meme and a joke, and now is beloved by all. What a turnaround.
I never got why he was a meme and a joke, but it is what it is.
Did you see the Joshua fight?
I did. He got outclassed by a guy who's really good.
Did you watch the face-off?
I mean, yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah.
Go back.
I don't really remember it.
Go back and watch that face-off.
Go back and watch the face-off.
It is still so good. You want to be entertained for 20 minutes? That will entertain you for sure. Robbie Hearns is texting us and telling us that John Skipper, the president, right, so to speak, is he the president? Is that his official title? Saying John Skipper has coronavirus. So thoughts and prayers to John Skipper. Hope he gets past this, man. As an older gentleman, it's got to be concerning. Gary, that's gonna be it for today's show, man.
Is that all we got?
All we've got, man.
Did we talk boxing? I felt like we talked about everything but boxing.
We did talk about boxing.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia.
Did you get to the questions?
Oh, we only have like one legit question. I'll be honest. We have one.
Other ones are baity questions.
Most of it's just people talking. I'll be quite or like stuff we've already gone over, like a lot of the Tiger King stuff we already talked about.
Okay.
By the way, season 2. Jeff Lowe, you know what Cameo is? You know what that app is?
No.
Oh, you're going to get a trip out of this. So you pay whatever price it is, and you make celebrities read off your script, so to speak. So it'd be like, hey, John, hope you're doing good today. Happy birthday. And you pay whoever is the celebrity you want, $5 to $50, whatever it is, the price, to make them say that. So somebody made Jeff Lowe do this whole spiel about communism, which was hilarious. Saying go communism and shit like that was fucking hilarious. But he ended it with, Season 2, we're not going to be in it, but hope you guys enjoy it. So, guys, Season 2 is happening. Tiger King. I think they should just purely focus on Doc Ansel. That guy is the nut of them all. He has a harem of women that dressed in cheetah print. Like, what is this? It's 2020, guys. That was a 90s fad. Like, no. I'm excited for the Season 2. But digressing, we have one question that's, I think, a good question to ask. Hector in our community sort of post or section on our YouTube page is asking about the next possible big fights and how they can play out. Gary, what are 5 like the big fights that you think boxing needs to make and / realistically can make, and how do they play out? And also, before you say that, quick shout out to Aaron Munoz in the chat with the super chat saying thanks for the show, guys. Gary mentioned he thinks Tifimo is more athletic than Mikey. How do you measure athleticism when watching boxers? If you want, we can get to that question first because it's a super chat.
That's a good question. You want to start with that, Matt?
Yeah, sure. You go because you're the one that brought Tifimo Lopez.
Okay, so I mean, there's explosiveness, there's hand speed, there's footwork coordination, and foot speed, right? It's like how would you judge any athlete, right? Like if you just line guys up and say, I want to find the best athlete, there are certain things that you would look at, right? Physical strength is a little, that's a little different because you can get unathletic guys who are pretty physically strong, like white guys from the Nordic countries. Right. Hockey players. So physical strength is kind of a little bit different, but I mean, basically the same way you'd score any other athlete: speed, mobility, flexibility, and explosiveness.
Add like hand-eye coordination.
Hand-eye coordination.
Depending on the sport, because that might be more important depending on the sport.
Yeah, that's a little like you.
Not really for boxing per se, but like for cricket, baseball.
Hand-eye coordination is, again, it's kind of like strength, but you can have that and not be a great athlete, right? Like it helps. But I'm like, that's why I played third base, because I had really good hand-eye coordination, but I wasn't athletic enough to play shortstop, right? It just didn't move quick enough. But yeah, hand-eye, that's all a part of it, but hand-eye coordination and just physical strength are certainly characteristics of it. But say if I said who's the best athlete on the basketball court, you pick
similar to all those factors.
Yeah,
right? Speed or like foot speed alone does not make you the best athlete.
It makes you the fastest. Right, it makes you the fastest guy.
So there's that to factor in.
Like if you're from Texas, right, and they want to turn everyone into a football player, they just find one kid who's really fast, and it's like, okay, we can at least make you a kick return. And then he's like so unathletic. He's just fast. There's really not much you can do with him, right? He can't cut, he can't move, he can't dice. He's just not, he's not really, he's just fast. So all of those things together, flexibility, speed, the ability to stop and move on a dime. And then obviously in boxing, the explosiveness, the spring in your first step, and then the hand speed.
Now, how would you gauge that in a fight though, Gary? Just from pure eye test, you just see who's moving faster, so to speak, from your own eye test. That's how you have to do it.
I mean, like Pacquiao's footwork, that's like the prime example, right? Like I can't teach you how to do that, right? Like either God gave that to you or you didn't, right? But then, the footwork and the hand speed and the footwork, foot speed, and hand speed, I would say, was how you would gauge that. Who's the guy that's getting out of the way? Who the guy is that's constantly getting to the punch first, right? If we both throw at the same time, who lands first? And that was like Mosley's problem. Mosley was better, used to always being the better athlete in the ring, the faster guy. And then when he fought guys like Winky Wright and Vernon Forrest, who would land at the same time he did, he couldn't adapt to it.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asking who's the best athlete or most athletic boxer right now, Gary. Who do you think that is?
Devin Haney. That guy's got
up there.
Next world athleticism.
Plant's up there,
Plant's up there, yeah.
Good athlete. I would say Canelo, but his foot speed's.
Yeah, he doesn't have the foot speed.
It's better than what it used to be because he drilled it so much, but that's not because he's just now a faster fighter, so to speak.
Use a guy like Sergio Martinez who's retired, but like Sergio Martinez got to that level because of Pacquiao. It's the same kind. Like
Pacquiao, Pacquiao is probably one of the best athletes we've seen since Roy Jones Jr. Loma's up there, in my
Loma's
opinion.
up there. Yeah.
Crawford's up there, in my opinion. I think Crawford's a great all-around athlete. Like he's
Yep.
one of those guys that he ranks really high in all those categories. So that's how you have to put him up.
Danny Jacobs, because Danny Jacobs is like 6'2".
Yeah.
He's a great athlete for a guy like that.
Huh. Who's the best one? Who's the most
I
athletic?
gotta say,
There's no Russell Westbrook of boxing right
no,
now.
there's not.
There's no like that's the
Adrian
best
Peterson.
period.
Yeah.
You know, there's no that guy, I would say. I don't know. Who would you put? Who, if I gun to your head, who would you pick?
Devin Haney. Just that's just I mean, I would have to analyze this question, and especially look at the guys at the smaller weight classes.
Because a lot of them are great athletes. Like
Yeah.
Niue. Like where does he rank as a great athlete? Or Donaire. Donaire's a great athlete.
Donaire is a great athlete. He just doesn't look like an athlete. Like he never gets ripped up. He just doesn't, but he's a great athlete. Yeah. Rigo. I was thinking that too, but he's 40 now. But Rigo's a tremendous athlete.
He's still a great athlete.
Yeah, he is.
The greatest athlete in combat sports right now is Yoel Romero. You need to go check out some highlights of that motherfucker. That dude is 42 years old, and he does things that 20-year-olds can't do. Okay, like it. Some people are just like you said, if they're born with it, they're born with it. Even like Roy Jones, like athleticism wasn't thing to really go. It was just that he was the wear and tear on his brain was what cost him. He just couldn't take punches anymore. It wasn't like he wasn't fast anymore. You know, maybe he wasn't as fast because he gained so much weight, but that wasn't an issue. It was that he just couldn't take punches anymore. So athleticism is one of those things that does fade last as well. Look at Manny Pacquiao. He's still one of the best athletes in the sport, I would say.
Yeah.
He's still
but again, that's super freakish next world athleticism.
It is. No, it absolutely is. But when you're talking about the best athletic boxer in the sport, that is a freak usually. You know, in the 90s, it was Roy Jones. It was undeniable.
Yeah, but for sure. Yeah.
That's probably one of the best athletes in boxing, period. I would make that argument.
Mackie Shellstone is a strength and conditioning coach. He worked with the Rams and the Cardinals. So he's worked with guys like Marshall Faulk, now Isaac Bruce, right? Like amazing athletes. He said Roy Jones is the best athlete he'd ever worked with.
That's not surprising at all.
Yeah.
I bet you can give Roy Jones any sort of sport and he could probably excel at it fast. Really fast. Back to Hector's question, though, about the next big fights and how can they play out. I mean, obviously, Fury Wilder 3 is one of the next big fights to make at heavyweight, if not just next fights, period, to make. Fury's going to win that, in my opinion, unless Wilder makes drastic changes, and I don't see those drastic changes happening. But I do see that fight being big. Like, that one's going to break 1 million buys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The fact that I don't think we saw enough media content talking about that jump in pay-per-view buys. That is unprecedented. To go from 325 to 8 to 850. That's never happened before for a rematch. Especially when, in the meantime, none of them did anything to boost their profiles at all. Right?
Again, Fury went on WWE. I don't know if that crossed over, if that got any buyers, but I would say Fury was a much more known commodity in the second fight than the first one.
I think you're right about that. I wonder if it's just the pure exposure, just ESPN talking about it more because
and Wilder did have 2 more posterizing knockouts in the interim, right?
That did kind of go viral,
especially the one with
Brazil.
They had it like the Jumpman logo.
Dude, we have not heard or seen Brazil since then, man. That poor guy. That's another big fight that's realistic to make right now.
Loma and Lopez.
Yeah, but I don't count that one.
I do, because that's the changing of the guard fight. And I'm picking Loma, so I'm predicting against the changing of the guard. But if Lopez goes in there and knocks out Loma,
I have a question.
Superstar.
If Loma, if your prediction's right that Loma can hold on to the throne, the title, the crown, how much longer can he hold on to it after Lopez? Like, if he beats Lopez, is it now almost a foregone conclusion that he could beat Gervonta Davis or Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia? Like Teofimo Lopez is the best guy to fight him right now, other than maybe Gervonta Davis. If Lopez can't do it, and let's say he gets beat pretty bad, is Loma going to hold down the division for a few more years? And it's now the narrative of him slipping gets pushed back.
No, because Lopez will be able to beat him eventually, right? It was like, Floyd was getting old, and he fought Canelo when Canelo was 22. If he fought Canelo when he was 28, Canelo would beat him, right? I mean, he's just too big for him, right? Lopez will eventually be able to beat Loma. I just don't know that it's today. You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of those guys, Tank Davis, Devin, one of them is going to beat him, right? I mean, if he stays around long enough, he'll get beaten. I don't know which one it would be by, but one of them will get him. That's why I would say if he wins, go back down to 130 and go fight Burchell or Jamel Herring, the top-ranked guys they have at 130.
I don't know about that.
He's eventually going to lose at 135. They're too big for him.
Look, if he beats Lopez,
he got Lopez when he was green, but you can't really say that he was green because he just destroyed Comey.
Comey. If I'm Loma and I just beat Lopez, I want the Haney fight now.
But what I'm saying is that knockout by Lopez was great. It was sensational, right? I don't know it's what Lopez needed at this stage of his career. He needs to get tested by a world-class fighter.
You get sidetracked here. Sidetracked here. I don't really. That's not what I care about. If Loma, in his mind, beats Teofimo Lopez and becomes, in his mind, the undisputed champion, why wouldn't he fight Devin Haney, who's way more green than Teofimo Lopez, and would make him more money? Right?
I would. And I'd pick him to win, but I'm not going to be shocked when someone finally picks him off. You know what I'm saying?
You take out that someone. I'm saying names here. You're just talking about this someone that doesn't exist. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, those are the two big money fights other than Gervonta Davis, which does not happen in my opinion.
Right.
It never happens. Just like Loma and Mikey never happens, unfortunately. But I think Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney are two young pups that are stars in their own right, that have a drawing power of their own, that would make Loma more money. If he beats Lopez, why wouldn't he go and beat Haney and Ryan Garcia, both from a technical perspective, X and O's perspective, but from a matchmaking perspective, from a career perspective? That would be the line.
No, he would, right? Because they're bigger money fights than they are at 130. I'm just saying, if he unifies 135, he's done what he always had to do. Now go fight in your because he's not a lightweight. Go fight in your real weight class. You did this. You pulled this off. Now go fight guys who are more your own size, right? Like, go fight in your natural weight class. You did this. You pulled it all off. Now go fight guys who you should be fighting.
I'm so against that. If he beats Lopez and under that pretext, no, he needs to stay at 135 and fight them all right now. Because this division's hot. 130 is not hot. You have Burchell demolish Valdez whenever that happens. Herring's going to outbox a faded Frampton. Leo is there waiting for Gervonta Davis at a fight at a...
Make that fight. Leo and Loma would be a good fight. But no, you're right. The better fights are at 135, so he will stay there. I'm just saying, if I was advising him, if I was advising his career, I'd say go fight guys your own size.
No, but Gary, here's what I'm also trying to get at. It's not only that it's the bigger money fights, but if he beats Lopez, then the idea that he can't beat these guys is just unfounded. It's just unfounded.
Absolutely.
I'd now predict him to beat all the guys at 135 if he beats Lopez.
Absolutely, 100%.
And like I said, the narrative of Loma is slipping, Loma at 135 is too much. Like, those narratives, if he beats Loma, are gone, in my opinion.
If he beats Lopez, yeah.
Are just gone. Because I think it's now a foregone conclusion that he beats Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia in big fights after that. Foregone conclusion. And then walk off in the sunset without that Gervonta Davis tough fight. Because Davis would be the tougher fight out of all those guys left, right?
Right.
And he doesn't deal with Luke Campbell again because he doesn't need to. The Fortunas of the world don't matter. So he walks off in the sunset with big money fights with Garcia and Haney. And he wins those two if he beats Lopez. Because if he beats Lopez, why wouldn't he beat Haney and Garcia? From a logical perspective.
From a logical perspective, I would pick him. I'm picking him to beat anyone now, but especially if he beats TV one, then I'd obviously pick him to beat everybody else.
Because if it's almost like with Triple G, right? Like, if once Triple G lost to Canelo, and then he obviously battled Derevchenko, our opinion of him has now shifted to he's now the name you need to fight to get over.
Right.
Use a pro wrestling term, right? If Loma loses to Lopez, he is now that name that all these prospects should be fighting for the reverse effect. They can now probably beat Loma and go get that scalp before it's,
before it's tarnished. Yeah.
And I think, I'll be honest, regardless of what happens, win or lose, he stays at 135 and he fights Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia before he retires. Those are money fights. In his mind, even if he loses, he'd probably think those are winnable fights.
So let's say he loses to Teofimo. You say he stays at 35.
Yes.
And fights, I don't know, pick one. Haney or Garcia, pick him.
I think he takes a tune-up, obviously, right? Like some name. And then he fights, let's say, a Ryan Garcia or...
Okay, and then let's say Garcia beats him. Do you think he then fights Haney? That would be the end of him at 35, no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he stays. I don't think that would happen. I think he would still beat Ryan Garcia.
I do too.
Teofimo Lopez.
I think he'd school Ryan Garcia.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan could still be outboxed. I mean, that's just a fact. Sorry. Francisco Fonseca, you're not the barometer test for Lomachenko. Some other big fights. Canelo Triple G3. I mean, I would guess it's probably a big fight. Canelo probably knocks him out late, in my opinion.
But he's got the chin of God. I mean, it's going to be tough to ice him.
God.
But it's like one of those things. Like, okay, that's enough of a beating. It's going to be tough. That right hand he hit him with, the bomb-proof right hand he hit him with the first fight. The same right hand that knocked Kirkland and Khan into a different world. Like Triple G walked forward from it. It's like there's something. This guy's chin is like frotch. It's a different level.
Probably the next on that list would probably be like Spence Crawford for big fight. I would probably pick Spence right now, to be honest. Even though Crawford is technically the better boxer, but Spence has beat better names. I think his style could absolutely be the kryptonite to Terence Crawford. So
I think Porter's style could be the kryptonite to Terence Crawford.
Porter's style is the kryptonite to everyone.
I like this is a great fight with Spence. I still think Crawford does more things, and I think he'd figure out a way to eke out a really close decision, which is good enough that we can see it again. But I think Crawford has more tricks in his bag, and he can figure out how to win just enough rounds to eke by Spence.
Porter has 3 losses, right? Brook, Thurman, Spence.
Yeah, that's it.
All of them are controversial to a degree.
Yeah.
Right? You can make an honest case that he's won all of them. Imagine Porter's legacy.
What's the one that's outstanding? I can't see how you'd say he won that fight. I mean, it was so bad. I guess like it's.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those.
I can't. Yeah.
Nothing happened in the entire 12 rounds.
But like Thurman, I was watching with one of my friends, and I picked Porter, and he picked Thurman. Right. And we sat there. We didn't show our scorecards till the end. I had it 115, 113 for Porter. 115, 113 for Thurman. He had it 115, 113 for Porter. Right. So it was that kind of fight.
And Spence was the same way, I would say.
I watched Spence. The first time I scored it for Porter. I watched it again. I scored it for Spence. So, I mean, those, yeah.
His legacy would be drastically different if he won those fights, because he honestly maybe did win those fights. Gary, I'm trying to think of like some names that like they've only lost controversial decisions. If they
Arislan De Lara.
Yeah. He's up there.
Pernell Whitaker. Well, Whitaker finally fought Trinidad when he was 100 years old, but to throw that one away. Pernell Whitaker. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some guys that legacies would be 180-degree difference in terms of how we.
If Lara would have got the decision over Canelo and Paul Williams, like,
let alone Jared Hurd.
Jared Hurd, yeah.
Imagine he has all 3 of those.
3 of those wins. I mean,
that would be insane. Insane. Next big fight, Warrington Russell. Russell should win, but Warrington pressure, man. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
But then again, I go back to the Kid Galahad fight where Kid Galahad outboxed Warrington, and I thought he beat Josh Warrington.
I think Russell's skills are so good. Like, he's so good. I take him to beat Warrington, but it's a great fight. I wouldn't, like, if you pick Warrington, that's fine.
Next big fight, I would say, is Inoue Rigo. I've gone back and forth on that fight. That's one of those fights that I'm
not picking the 40-year-old at 118 pounds. I'm taking the young guy.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. Like, it's a
know.
great fight. I'm just not picking the 40-year-old because that's
does
unprecedented. It does. And
It
he could have one more great fight left in him. Like, there could be a little water left in that well. And like, if I took Rigo in his prime against Inoue now, Rigo figured out how to get it done. He'll avoid the power shots, and but he's not. He's 40. So
he's 40. Yeah, but Donaire walked him down and beat him up, and Rigo's a lot better than Donaire. I don't know. I'm just saying that's a great fight. Next big fight that's never happening because Tanaka does not want that work. It's Tanaka Martinez, just for me personally. That fight
that's a great fight.
That fight.
It's not happening because there's better options on the table for Tanaka.
Martinez needs to just go up to 115. Like 115 is the better division than 112. Just go up to 115.
Usyk versus AJ.
That's not my list of big fights.
It's not my list of big fights. You have the undisputed cruiserweight champ of the world fighting the unified heavyweight champ of the world. How is it not on your list?
Because it's so far from happening, in my opinion.
But it was like when Holyfield came up from cruiserweight. Like, he's got to fight Tyson. He's got to fight. And then Tyson lost and then got arrested. And that took 6 years. But
I'll be honest. The momentum stagnation of Usyk's career,
it has stagnated.
It has affected me. Not in terms of like
For sure.
how skilled he is, so to speak. I always thought heavyweight could be a bridge too far for him. I always thought that to a degree. I always thought he was perhaps a little bit undersized for this division. But regardless, I mean, the guy is not really seen. He's not really fighting great competition lately. So how do I get hyped up for an Usyk fight or think about a fight that's a fight or two fights down the line from now even? He's supposed to get past Chisora. That's not going to be a walk in the park anymore, I think, as previously thought. And then maybe he has to get past another fight after that as well. That's a possibility. Let's say AJ goes from Pulev, skips the Usyk mandatory, and goes straight into the winner of Fury
Wilder, yeah.
which is a possibility.
If Wilder, and I'm not picking, but if Wilder wins the rematch against Fury, there's got to be a fourth one, right?
It's not in the contract. So
there's
down
not.
The line, it will be. Down the line, it will be, in my opinion. It won't happen right afterwards. I don't think that. It's not in the contract. I think that's
Wilder will be 35 by then. Like, I don't know. He can't. I mean, I don't know.
But heavyweight's last.
It's heavyweight. Yeah.
Guys can last longer at heavyweight. That's about it, though. Any other big fights, Gary?
Haney versus Tanahara.
First off, I don't know who I'm more mad at right now. You or Rob in the chat saying Okoli versus Breedis.
Okoli versus Keith Thurman at cruiserweight.
Oh my god. We're out of here. I can't do it anymore, guys. Can't do it. Hit the like button to share the show. Subscribe if you guys enjoyed this little tiny fun show. Midday, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. If you listen on podcast from on iTunes, drop that 5-star review and write us a little review. It's always very helpful. What else? Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR on all social media platforms. Show probably Monday. If I have to predict when we're going to have a next show, it's probably going to be Monday. No show tomorrow, no show Sunday, but show probably Monday for you guys. Normal time as well. Trying to get Rob back on the show and Foo so we can have more bullshit discussion about bullshit. Gary, let people know where to find you.
Find me at all forms of social media at 3D Boxing blog. And I'm going to go back and watch an old fight from the 80s or 90s or early 2000s every day. Today I'm watching Morales Barrera 1. So if you guys want, give me a fight to watch.
Yeah.
Recommend a fight. I'm going to watch that fight today. Tomorrow's Paul Williams versus Margarito because we were talking about that. That was at the StubHub. That was an amazing fight. But let me know. And then, because there are so many great fights that you should just go back and watch. But find me all forms of social media, 3D Boxing blog. From Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Have a good day, guys. Peace.